Ladies and gentlemen, viewers, as you know, this is a continuation of my rant series to get things off my chest. This subject is going to be science. I'm not going to go into any details. I'm not claim to be a subject matter expert in any area. So I'm not going to disrespect the scientists by any of that. But I can say one thing, and that is that scientists are not very good at promoting themselves. So they that when I was younger, science. I guess there was less media, and science was amazing. It was an interesting thing because what my imagination when it ran wild. The scientific platform gave me the tools to let that imagination speak for itself. Okay, now coming to today, science has taken a backseat. The scientists are not so good at promoting themselves. We've got a few rock stars of science, and I'm going to mention them. I'm not saying that they are the epitome of their subject matter, but what they do bring to the table is they bring promotion of what might inspire the youth or what might inspire the next generation to take the fields of science. Now, I have a few names. Michiko Kaku, a Japanese scientist, Neil deGrasse Tyson, etc. Now, these people, I believe, would be inspiring to the next generation of people who are going to provide betterment of our society and move us forward and bring value to um, humanity. So when I this is okay, I'm saying all right. These are scientists who are inspirational. However, on the other side are people who have blatant disregard for science and they misuse it. They not misuse science because they're not scientists. They uh, they propose ideas that are not true. They're completely false. And the fact that the public buys this is the scary thing. So, what am I talking about? Well, it's simple. If you misuse a term and the public buys it, then there's something really bad going on. They are people. I've been told not to mention names. So, but what I find is that the people who use, for example, religious theology to make a point, they get a platform. People are all over it. They watch it. They come on the media. They come on TV, and people go, okay, now let's discuss what you have to talk about. Well, even if they're completely false, they still have a platform, and which is fine because you got a democracy. You have free speech. You can make your points. Though I don't see that the other side of the argument. I don't see people going, wait a minute, this person is completely falsifying the subject. is making arguments that are completely uh, illogical and false, yet they are given the platform and they're discussed. And then you find that uh, a, a big segment of society will actually believe that. They will say, well, the guy's making sense. He's not making sense. It's just the way it's worded. Now, I will give you a couple of words in science. One is the word called theory. So, when that word, what is the connotation that word has? The word has the connotation that people use in everyday language. They will say, oh, look, I have a theory of something. I have a theory that wind doesn't exist because I can't see it. Or maybe something a little bit more logical, like, a car will roll down the street because the tires are round. Or I have a theory of why this happens or why that happens. That's uh, that's everyday language. Now in science, this word is not this. It's not the same as what is used as a conversational word in the English language. In science, a theory actually means something completely different. It means that there has been an immense amount of research, and the scientific community knows that this is a fact. Well, again, now I won't misuse that. So, uh, the theory of evolution. So, why is it called a theory and it's not called the law of evolution? It's because it's biological. It's subject to change. You can't you can't have an environment that constantly changes where you can say this is a law. So if I looked out my balcony and wind flew through every day and pushed some leaves around, then I would say, look, I have a theory that the wind comes from the left and it pushes the leaves around. And but I know that that is subject to change. So the wind can come from another direction and the leaves can blow the other way. And that's what science is saying. Science is saying when we have formulated a theory, it's grounded on evidence, and that the word itself is not the same as the conversational word. It has a completely different context and completely different meaning. So you can't just go, oh, that's a theory, let's throw it out the window. So when you have um, religious people, or, you know, well, uh, then they will come across and they will say, hey, science has just called this a theory, so obviously it's not true because it's just a theory. So we can just rubbish it, we can rubbish that argument, we can throw it out, and we can promote our narrative, which is not based on anything except doctrine. Um, and we just can say, okay, this is a theory, so it's not true. But I find like the wisest, most intelligent people not doing their homework and just saying, oh, look at this, it's laughable. For example, Um, you get these text messages that go around, and they will say, "Oh, if man came from monkeys, then why are monkeys around?" Well, number one, not monkeys, apes. Number two, not one scientific journal, not one scientific research or anything has ever said that man came from apes. It's just never been said. What they said is there have been branches prior to that which have split, and that's man, and that's your gorilla or chimpanzee. They've never said that that was just a direct path. So that's a blatant lie, and it's it's, what do you call it? Propaganda. It's that just confuses people. So people go, oh well, blah blah blah. That's so I'm happy. I'm comfortable because that's a theory and it doesn't exist. Now, when I look at the difference between theory and law, well, law can be defined because you can say that there's Newtonian laws, there is the law of gravity, there is the most simplest mass times velocity equals momentum. So that's a law. You can't make a law with biological uh, aspect to it. There's a biological base. You can't make a law on it. That's not the scientist's fault that he has to call this a theory, because he can't say, okay, this is a law. Because every day more and more research comes through, and that theory has to constantly shift. It has to abide by all the research material that is currently available and is going to be available in the future. It's a shifting thing. You can't say, oh, we've discovered every species of dinosaur. They are going to be constantly digging and going through it and the anthropology, and they will understand and shift and change. And it's a constant process. How can you make a constant process a law? Of course not. So then we will move to inspirational science. I just saw a movie recently, and the movie was called The Man Who Knows. No, actually, it was called The Man Who Knew Infinity. And it was about a scientist who happened to be Indian. And I was thinking, like, I said, this is a great movie. And I really didn't know that much about this scientist. So I, I looked at it and I looked at all the producers, etc., and said, where did the finance come from? Where, how how was this movie produced? And found that there was, well, I don't even know if it's being watched by Indians as a whole, though that should really be at the top of the Indian public's mindset. They got something just thrown at them saying that, look, there was a really, really brilliant man, and he completely flipped the way mathematics was thought of at that time. And he's inspirational. In fact, I think his some of his works is sitting right next to Newton's works in Cambridge or in UK. Does do the Indian public appreciate this? Do they know about it? Hardly. They're more interested in Bollywood. So what am I getting at? Like I mentioned, the rock stars of science. You have your own rock stars. Make your youth think about discovery, research, inspire them. If you are going to put science down and it carries no value, then I don't get it. I really don't get it. If everything that's associated with wealth is fundamentally based on science, then don't you think that promotion of science is beneficial? The Americans, they get it right because they know the value of science and they know how when you promote it, the trickle down effect on society is powerful and it's a win-win situation. So I guess all I'm saying is critic merit science, promote it, value it. Oh, and don't give me any excuses because, like I mentioned earlier, I'm not going to talk on particular subjects. But if you have an excuse and you're saying, "Oh, India promotes science," don't get me started. Just don't. Otherwise, they might be further videos where I will give you exactly how you've gone wrong. So just take this as feedback and just go, okay, we will try to promote scientific thought. We will make sure we finance universities, make sure we inspire youth so that we can have the benefit of more intelligent society. That's all. Thank you.